pleasure of working alongside Aurelia for the past 2 years on the launch of two public transparency maps between SourceMap and Breitling. I've been able to see firsthand the incredible work that Breitling has been doing in the sustainability space with materials and responsible sourcing. So I'm incredibly excited to have you all hear from Aurelia herself the work that they've been doing and present a case study to you all. So with that, Aurelia, I will turn it over to you for an introduction, and then you can start to share your screen and share the wonderful case study that you've prepared for us all today.
Thank you so much, Carrie, and thank you to everyone joining. It's a pleasure to be with you. I'm having some voice issues, so if at any point I become too difficult to hear, please just give me a nod and I'll do my best to speak up. So let me go ahead and begin to share my screen. It's very exciting to be here today. It's a really important topic for us at Breitling, and it's been a pleasure and a privilege to work with SourceMap and particularly with Carrie over these last couple of years on two key projects at Breitling related to traceability. And I'm glad to share some of the highlights of these activities that we've had together with you today. Now, I always like to set the stage before diving into the details in terms of why, in fact, we have made the investments to understand and to recreate our global value chains. And this actually all started in 2020 when we at Breitling formalized our approach to sustainability. And we asked a number of stakeholders, internally and externally, what were the factors that we should be concentrating on. And at risk of taking perhaps too much time on this slide, I want to focus simply on the top three aspects that you can see in the top right-hand corner here. And those are namely social impacts along the value chain, environmental impacts along the value chain, and product integrity. So among other things, traceability, quality, being able to attest to the provenance of the materials in our products. And then, as you can see, a range of other factors in the overall sustainability and ESG landscape. Based on this input from our stakeholders, we set out to define our sustainability mission, and we organize this across 5 key pillars. First of all, our product. At the end of the day, we are producing watches. This is our core business. And in that, we're really seeking to improve the social and environmental impact of these. We are, of course, working to reduce our environmental footprint across the climate, biodiversity, and water nexus. And of course, building that natural bridge between planet and people by working to engage stakeholders across all of our squads in our mission. And now being able to understand our global value chains and the participants in them, we can also identify ways together with them in terms of how we can support their ongoing and their own determination of the endeavors that they're pursuing in their development activities. And last but not least, we share our progress with everyone. So we report on an annual basis, and we've just released our 2023 mission report, which is available at breitling.com. Part of the activities that we've identified herein form the construct of our campaign, Squad on a Mission to Do Better. And in this, sorry, bear with me one moment. In this, we work to develop a better gold value chain in which we are sourcing from accredited artisanal and small-scale gold manufacturers in Latin America. Excuse me. We then develop relationships with these communities and support their development activities through a premium of $1 per gram of gold purchased. So this has supported a range of different initiatives, be it a medical facility in Peru, a wastewater treatment plant at a mining facility in Peru, or an educational program in a very remote village in northern Colombia where there was previously no direct access to education, or one that was available only with a 2 hours horseback ride in one way. We also wanted to do this to address the industry narrative, which is fair to say, to the extent that it addresses sustainability and gold sourcing, it is largely centered around the narrative of recycled gold. And I take the liberty of using the inverted commas for one reason. To say that something is recycled needs to imply that it was something that was diverted from landfill. So for the vast majority of gold in the world, that's not the case. It's in fact reprocessed gold for which the provenance may be unknown. It may be mixed, commingled with other gold sources along the value chain. And as we know, given the high value that gold has, it can be prone to being involved in human rights abuses, in trafficking, and money laundering. So it's very important to be able to know the origin of gold. So we viewed this as a project that would allow us to establish traceability. We made the decision to source artisanal and small scale gold because we believed that that afforded us a better opportunity to have an impact as compared to, for example, large scale mining. At the same time, we know that the challenges that I just alluded to in the social sphere, as well in the environmental sphere, if we think about certain regions, we know that it's associated with large scale deforestation and environmental degradation, that we viewed it as far more important to directly engage in this sector and to be a part of a transition in an industry that will continue to exist regardless of whether 1 kilogram of recycled gold is purchased. This does not imply that 1 kilogram of gold will not be extracted, perhaps illegally, from the Amazonian River basin in order to support local communities. So we've selected, again, providers who are carefully audited according to specific criteria. And we work directly with the communities concerned in order to support their developmental objectives. Then we turned a similar lens to our diamond sourcing initiative. So if you think about a watch, we have a picture here. These are obviously very small diamonds that we're speaking about of max 0.2 carat weight, oftentimes less than that. In the diamond industry, these are commonly called Melee diamonds. And those of you who are Francophone know that Melee is also referring to a mix. So we really wanted to be able to attest to the ultimate origin of our diamonds and not simply a country level declaration or a multiple country level declaration, but specifically to each actor along the supply chain. And we knew that if we wanted to do so, given the size of the diamonds that we are sourcing and the nature of the diamond market, that we needed to source not mined diamonds, but rather lab-grown diamonds. Then we followed that decision with, of course, a very careful social and environmental screening of potential suppliers, of which today we have precisely 3 located in India, in Western India, and the United States. These suppliers then provide their grown diamonds to specific handlers along the supply chain in order to find their way into our end products. And they are all certified according to the SCS 007 sustainability rated diamond standard, which assesses their performance across a range of environmental, social, and governance topics. We are then able to have a direct relation with these suppliers as well. And we are now seeking to mirror our approach in Better Gold, in that we are now working with our providers and with the local communities from which we source, specifically in Western India right now, to develop an impact diamond fund, which is funded through an allocation placed upon each carat of diamonds that we purchase. Through this, we support women's economic empowerment and social entrepreneurship for economic development. And as mentioned, I don't want to belabor the point, but really the baseline for us here was first of all being able to establish this traceability and from where these materials originated. So if you'll bear with me now, I'll show you a short video and I'll take the chance to get a sip of water in the meantime.
At Breitling, we're on a mission to do better. The next step on this journey is the Super Chronomat Origins. It's our first watch whose precious materials can be traced to their source. Its gold comes from an artisanal Colombian mine that protects its employees, its environment, and its local communities through a contribution for every gram of gold we buy. The gold travels to Switzerland through exporters and refiners who ensure its integrity all the way back to Breitling. As for our diamonds, they are grown in a lab where gas and extreme heat are applied in a vacuum to a diamond slice, crystallizing the carbon and allowing the diamonds to grow. In every way, they are identical to mined diamonds. Most importantly, they are free from conflict and human rights abuses. And we ensure carbon-neutral production. This entire journey is recorded on a blockchain that you can see on your NFT. Better gold, better diamonds, full traceability. This is not a prototype or a one-off. By 2025, all of our watches will be made this way. It begins with the Super Chronomat Origins.
Great, thank you for paying attention. I always want to take the chance to show that film in order to evidence as well the broader approach that we're taking to gold and diamond sourcing and to traceability. You may be asking yourself, okay, well, gold and diamonds, those are two important materials, but certainly you have a range of others at Breitling. That's certainly the case. However, we view these as the most material, the most urgent in order to be able to review. However, we are continuing to rework our approach and to bring in new materials and to bring in new value chains to our sourcing overall. And this is obviously important for a number of reasons. I wanted to zoom into one specific reason why it's important, and that is climate change and carbon accounting. So we have recently, in March, submitted our targets for validation to the Science Based Targets Initiative, and these are aligned with the corporate net zero standard, in which we will be achieving absolute emissions reductions in the near term until 2032 and the long term until 2050. And here you can see the action areas that we have across these, where we have a major environmental footprint. So for us to actually be able to track and to attest to these emissions reductions that we foresee, it's obviously absolutely essential that we can be able to understand the supply chain and be able to assign high quality carbon accounting data to suppliers along the supply chain. So this is something I just wanted to briefly share as one specific call out. There's obviously a range of others that matter here, especially as we consider the rapidly revolving regulatory landscape as well. And as mentioned, we are constantly looking for ways to expand our efforts on traceability. So while we began our initiatives in 2022 publicly with the launch of the map for the Super Chronomat 38 Origins, which was a proof of concept for us, we're very glad now in 2023 to have already expanded our map. So this is now the origins label map where all suppliers of the raw material and for the processors as well along the value chain are declared for all of those products that are included within the origins label. So this is something that we link directly from Breitling.com that anyone can access, whether they are a customer or not, and as well that is directly available in the NFT that accompanies the watch for those that are actually purchasing it directly. So this is the next step that we've taken together. We're really looking forward to future ones. And with that, I'm glad to close here and take the discussion further in a way that we like.
Wonderful. And thank you so much, Aurelia. We'll keep it to one question. I know we'll want to make sure that you have the chance to rest. But I think from my perspective, working so closely with you, I've seen, the sustainability assessment that you all made and defining that mission really come to life with pivoting to these small artisanal mines, developing relationships in the community there, working with labs where we're focusing on environmental and social pieces instead of going a different route for diamonds. So it's so wonderful and impressive the work that Breitling has been able to do. What do you think are the barriers and the challenges that the larger luxury industry faces in approaching sustainable and responsible sourcing in this way?
Mm-hmm. So I would refer to two specific points. The first one is I think that when somebody enters the luxury brand environment, there's very much an assumption, just to speak for myself, that everything is being done well. You're entering a beautiful boutique, you're in a very nice online environment or in a multi-brand retailer. I think it's easy to fall prey to, oh, this must have been made in Europe. These are the specific labor standards that exist in Europe. It's enough for me. I don't need to ask for more information. And there are reasons for this assumption to exist, and sometimes there are some oversights along the way where it's necessary to go deeper on sourcing issues. The second one I would say is that I think it's fair to say that the industry is also prone to perhaps secrecy or mythology. And in general, to actually disclose in the industry is maybe not seen as something that is going along with the expectations of the industry itself. A lot of this is supposed to be happening behind the scenes and typically not something that you would bring forth directly. So those are two, I think, maybe more widely held societal beliefs that it's kind of automatic thinking. If we think about behavioral economics, where maybe we forget to shine that lens of scrutiny that maybe we would if we're buying a banana, which costs obviously a nano fraction of the price of these products, or if we're buying a coconut water or whatever it may be. So those would be, I think, two key areas that I would reference.
That's a fascinating point, and I think something that I can certainly understand and in my own behavior. And I think we can only hope that the work that Breitling is doing can help to challenge those assumptions as well. With the launch of the Super Chronomat last year, shining a light on the world's first traceable watch and making us think about, oh, where do the gold and diamonds in our watches come from, and what are the communities involved? So just really excited to be able to be on this journey with you and incredibly impressed with the work that Breitling is doing. And we thank you so much for your time and sharing that with SourceMap and with our broader community. Certainly encourage everyone to review and check out the Breitling Sustainability Report and learn about all of the work that Breitling has been doing. And look at the map as well, where we're showing, where all of the different organizations and communities involved in the production of these precious minerals and materials take place, and hopefully challenge that assumption about that Aurelia was just talking about where do our materials come from, who are the communities behind them, and what are the processes that take place.
Great. Thank you so much, Carrie. I can only echo the sentiment, and we're certainly looking forward to developing this going forward. And I'm always open and happy to have an exchange. Thank you so much, everyone, for participating.